Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
And welcome back.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. And being part of this family and experiencing everything we're going through together. Freedom and control. And so when I brought this up, Cindy says, "What?"
I know, it's like, why are these two words in the same box together?
Yeah, because, freedom and control. How can you have freedom when you're being controlled?
Or how can you feel free when you feel a need to control?
It's a good point too. That's it. She just turned a gear in my mind there. She's shifting my whole track. It's very, very true. And of course, true freedom comes from within, even when the restraints are being put on from without.
Right. That's so true.
And, this whole situation that we find ourselves in across the globe is one in which obviously freedoms are being more than threatened. They're disappearing, and control is growing.
Right. So we need to take into consideration, where is it where we can be free?
Very true. And I was thinking, we just got done with meditation and mantras first time today. We're going to go back and do at least one, but probably two more goes of it. But we do have like about 7 people. I think we're going to be squeezing in between. And what hit me was, the biggest danger that humanity is facing right now is not a virus. It's not a virus at all. And I don't think it's Earth changes. I don't think it's Nibiru, Planet X, wandering star, rogue planet, anything like that. I don't think it's even asteroids. I don't think it's really any of the above. I think what it is what we're looking at right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the loss of our ability to freely evolve.
To choose our own path. And, how could you have freedom? How could you possibly have freedom when, for instance, we can't even speak anymore. We can't even say our mind anymore. So how could you possibly have freedom?
That's a really good question. That's where you have to literally dig deep.
And it's even getting to the points where it's not even what we say, because now you're going to have AI that's going to know what you're going to say before you even say it. So it's, again, conditioning about what we could even think.
Yes, very much so.
So in this society, the way we're heading, you're not going to be able to speak your truth. We were listening to a Vedic astrologer, I forget what his name was, who was talking about, the forecast for this year, talking about the different eclipses. And by the way, there's another eclipse coming on June 10th of next year, which has positive beneficial aspects to it.
Yes, many beneficial aspects where people are going to feel inspired and have new ideas to kind of reboot everything.
Now, the eclipse that's coming this year, and we have a lunar eclipse that's coming 2 weeks before. We have the solar eclipse, which I think is December 14th and in November 30th for the lunar. This one's going to be a difficult one too. So this one's going to have difficult energies. So we got a ways to go here, but most definitely, in my mind, this is the biggest danger to humanity, to society, to the individual, to the family unit.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I feel we need to start looking at freedom and within and dimensional, and know that we can go places dimensionally. I think humans are going to realize that we are multi-dimensional creatures, and somehow we're going to have to break away from feeling controlled.
And that might be very, very challenging. And at the same time, we have to put our intentions out there into the universe to say we are not going to go along with this, because we want our freedom. We want our ability to make our own choices, to make our own decisions, to work together with our family units in the way we want to. We could go back, and it's more than just even looking at what this country, United States, was founded on. We've talked about that many times, and the hypocrisy that existed as well. with some of the founding fathers. It's more than that. This goes way back. And, I keep going back to the Roman Empire. And, because Rome exerted its influence over so much of the quote unquote known world at that time. And you had to, pay your tribute, accept their leadership, accept their laws, or otherwise they would just kill you.
Right.
Take over your lands, kill you, and subject you to slavery. And really, that empire has never left us. And it goes back to the Sumerian system. And, it goes back all the way to, those times as well. And, perhaps it's left over from some beings that were even in perhaps Atlantis, going back even farther. This system of control that we find ourselves in is one that can cause despair, for sure, where, again, you're not allowed to say your truth. And we know, because we're energy workers, and others will too, that are in, are in the medical field, that when you suppress your voice and saying your truth, you're going to end up with thyroid conditions. So many people have Hashimoto's and goiters and, problems with T3, T4 conversion. And, it all stems from basically being in a situation where you feel like you can't speak your truth. It's harmful to your health. It literally is harmful to your health. And then when you can't even think your truth, it's going to another step. And then when you don't even have control over your own body, then that's to the point of absolute ridiculousness. And it should never be accepted.
No, it shouldn't. We've got to have a way to process our emotions. Our emotions are so very important to process and express. Emotions are meant to be expressed.
So when you're not even going to be able to make decisions over what's done with your body, your own body, then there is absolutely no vestiges of freedom left in this world.
It's, looking pretty grim.
So obviously, we cannot accept that. You cannot. How could you accept that? Because, then really you're acquiescing and acknowledging that you're nothing but a slave. You're chained up to the system. You have no ability, no right, no will to make your own choices at that point.
Right. So this is a time where we really have to dig in and understand that we do have power.
We do. So, I want to ask everybody to put a prayer and intention out there that the light, the gnosis, the knowledge of understanding exactly what's going on in this world right now, will spread from individual to individual. Let's see that knowledge spreading like a virus, at a rampant rate, and awaken all these sleeping souls that are just walking to oblivion. They're walking up to a cliff, and that cliff is a big one that drops down into nothingness. And, so many are going to start to just walk up to that cliff and follow the Pied Piper and just jump right off into their own oblivion.
That's sad.
But that's what's happening.
Yep.
So we have to wake up as many people as possible to what's going on, because, you might say freedom is dying. You might say freedom is already dead. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. That's a beautiful statement. So, that is very interesting and true, Albert Camus. So we have been, as you guys know, we tried to make a little go of doing a homestead in a very tough place to homestead, just to be close to family, really, and to give us time to see what we could do with family too, to awaken our own family here, because even in our case, people are not completely awake. I think they're a lot more awake now than they were a year ago before this whole situation. And I think they were looking at me like I was crazy with all the preparations that we were doing. Yet at the same time, it's a good thing we did what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been, traveling all over looking at properties, and almost pulled the trigger on a property that wouldn't have. I don't think it would have been good in the long run. Location was fine, but there's too many issues with the property itself. And what I got today in meditation was more of, we're in a holding pattern right now, and Cindy's been getting this too. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna watch, because what we're gonna have right now is, you're gonna truly see which representatives, which people in Congress, which governors are going to be the ones that are going to stick up for freedom and say, no, this is going too far. And which ones are really all about assimilating more people into the Borg, losing their souls, so to speak, changing their RNA and their DNA, literally. You're going to see which ones are part of the agenda and part of the problem, and which ones are going to have the guts to speak up. And so, we're going to stay kind of mobile for a little while, and we're going to see what happens in the next 6 months or so, and see how this develops. And probably, I'm thinking we take advantage of the energy of the lunar eclipse that's going to be one of change that comes in June of next year, to perhaps, again, find, the right piece of property as Zeke is sleeping in the background. So we're going to stay mobile and flexible. And I know that a lot of our family might say that they're red, and a lot of our family might say that they're blue, and a lot of our family might be purple and kind of, independent. And, whatever you are, we're grateful you're part of the family, and grateful that you have an open enough mind to listen to this and other things like this. And we'll hope that you will continue to help awaken others. And I know sometimes people get to the point where they almost sound like they're, we could say woo-woo or crazy or what have you, because they understand the implications of all this. They understand it so well that it terrifies them, what we're going through, and the processes that are playing out right now. And so, a lot of times people can be like, you got to say this. You got to just put this out. Let them know about this. Let them know about that. And of course, we try to let you guys know as much as we can and share as openly as we can without having our voice totally taken away, which is always at risk. As, our livelihood got taken away when they demonetized the first channel. And all of a sudden, it was a good thing we were able to stay with Cindy's mom, for a while, to get our feet back under us. If we didn't have the supportive family, we would have been in a much more difficult situation. So, obviously we have to all be toeing the line at this point in time, as best as we can, but also making the right decisions for ourselves and everybody around us, and staying true to the light. And so the one thing that we've done more of than ever before is just going within and dedicating ourselves like fully to the light in every way that we can. And it's helping to, I think, bring us into a better place and connect us to the higher realms better and better.
Oh, definitely. To go within, and you kind of gain a deeper understanding of the bigger picture when you're able to take that time for yourself. And I really hope that we have inspired some of you guys to take that time, even if it's just a minute, to learn to meditate or do breath work, because these are the things, building our energy and then pushing our energy out to prevent them from taking our freedom. I feel that we really, really can do that as a concentrated effort.
We can. We got to put that intention out there. We got to keep speaking up. And it was in Denmark, right? Or was it in the Netherlands? I forget where they actually got a law that was going to come into it was Denmark. Yeah, they got it like axed because they spoke up, and they actually did it peacefully. But enough people did it, so that it was not going to be a go. And this morning, I woke up and I told Cindy, I don't know what, but something is more right today. I don't understand what. And she said, well, maybe it's just because we were going to try to pull a trigger on a property and you're feeling relief for that. And I said, no, I feel something different shift. There's like a timeline shift that I think has gone on that actually feels a little bit positive. I mean, it feels positive. I don't feel that it's negative. I know there's things planned that are still in play that are going to, again, create more divisiveness and more chaos. But I feel like maybe we're gaining a little bit more traction with waking up enough people. It's a critical mass thing. We have to get to a certain point. And when we get to that point, then as a whole, we'll break the chains. And we'll say, no, we're not going into this slavery. And, I said to Cindy yesterday, too, in the past when I was in the corporate world, we could look at what people would say are nice houses and stuff. And, we could be looking at getting something that most people would say, well, of course, I wouldn't live in anything less than that, or this, whatever their perception is. But, I was dying in that corporate world. I was literally dying, and I felt like I was going to end up leaving this life at a pretty relatively younger age. And I just couldn't do it. It was making me physically ill to be dealing with what I know to be reptilian, evil energies that exist in this corporate world. They're heartless, they're soulless, and when you get down to it, it's all based on greed, and it is pure evil.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. I do know family members who are kind of going through the same thing right now. They know that in their line of work, they're not exactly helping people, and they're having a hard time coming to terms with that. It's like, how do I do this job and at the same time be true to myself? And ultimately, we do have to find that path to self.
We do, and I took a lot of chances, which I was not a chance taker. I was one that was all about stability. For most of my life, I wouldn't take chances. I was always about stability. And then I got to that point where it was like, if I end up homeless, well, I'll go do it in Florida because it's nice and the weather, I'm not going to freeze and etc. And I was really even thinking that along those lines. I'm not going to work for another corporation ever is what, hit me, because I just felt how down those energies were, especially like working for this retirement community. And then when you lose people, and sometimes the families would have a hard time getting the belongings out in time, and yet the corporate world just wants you to push them to get their stuff out. Just get it out now. Turn it over quick because we're losing so much money each day that place is not occupied, with no thoughts about the people that they're serving. Or, some of these places, just so they might charge you $2,500 or $5,000 a month. And the company I was working for, they were actually, their budget for food for an average person per day was like $2.50. They're giving you 3 meals for $2.50. What quality of food do you think that is? Of course, it's not that good of food. But that's the corporate mindset. So that's part of the chains that we live in. They tempt us to overextend ourselves, to live in this, more and more luxury, our quote unquote way of life. And all this stuff tempts us. It works through our ego, works through our greed, and it shackles us to the system. That's why, over on Evolutionary, we're going to talk a lot about alternative living, tiny house, RV. We are going to focus on too, and it was hit me today, best places, and just really delve into where are some really good livable places where you could enjoy yourself, but also be in a good spot for these times. So I want to do a whole bunch of videos along those lines over there. So I just wanted to share that with you guys too. But, don't accept the slavery. Speak up every way you can. Again, we have to move to get ourselves out of this system. And the more we go in debt, the more we, just basically throw more shackles on us, the more it's going to be tougher to get out of the system.
It's going to, and it's going to take some dedication and some sincerity and some turning away of certain things and, finding yourself. And it's all a very beautiful journey, though.
It is. And thanks for being part of the family again and joining us on this journey. We can do it. We saw what Gandhi achieved over in India through, basically peaceful means. It can be done. Again, hitting the system where it counts, which is, it's all based on the money system. It's all based on taxation. It's all based on, being part of the system. And they're going to force you to give away the last vestiges of your freedom in order to stay in that system. So creating alternatives, that's where it's at. And that's what we have to be looking to.
Thinking positive, taking the high road.
As always, guys, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.